Recently, there's been some controversy that's arisen in the realm of Helldivers and the developers over at Arrowhead, and just how they run the game and manage the game, and difficulty and scaling and all that. There is a $1,000 charity challenge proposed on Reddit by one user, stating that the developers could attempt a level 10 difficulty challenge, and if they succeeded, or even if they failed, that they would donate $1,000 to a charity of Arrowhead's choosing. Several other people then hopped on and said that they would also contribute some money, and now there's been some controversy involving the whole situation. So let's get into that. If you find yourself enjoying this video, please remember to like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton. And let me know what you guys think about the whole situation down in the comments. And there's this new feature on mobile devices where you swipe right to hype the video. So please consider doing that. It would help out my channel a ton. And yeah, so let's get into it. So as some of you may know, there was a $1,000 charity challenge for the developers at Arrowhead. They make questionable balancing decisions when it comes to Helldivers 2. The community is pretty split, and a lot of the time there is just really insults thrown both ways. The ones who are in defense of Arrowhead call the others, they say that it's a skill issue, they say that they need to get better, lower the difficulty, use different stratagems, etc. And then the other side just calls them glazers, or I think cry divers is one that's used maybe on both sides, I'm not sure. Anyway, point being, it's a pretty split issue on the balance of Helldivers 2 currently. So this challenge was meant to be as a way for the community to understand how the developers may be balancing their game by putting the developers in the hot seat and letting them play their game on the hardest difficulty. One of the developers, not actually a developer, but the CEO, responded and actually informed the public that he was in the process of getting up to level 10 with the intent of doing the challenge. There were some other actors involved as well, such as Odo, Commissar Kai, Lieutenant Buzz Lightyear, and I think maybe Thick Fillet, I can't remember. And they said that they would also be contributing some amount of money based on certain challenge requirements. One of the new additions to the sort of challenge was to use these set loadouts that were basically an amalgamation of really not great stratagems and weapons. This challenge was to be underway and was actually in the process of being accepted, as far as I know, by the developers. They weren't rejecting it. I don't think they were totally in the process of accepting it. I don't know. They knew it existed to some extent. The public is unsure about just how committed they were to doing it, though, apart from the one CEO that took the challenge. However, because no one can ever agree on anything and we can never have nice things, people started sending death threats and doxing the individual that made the challenge to begin with. Thus, this individual had to stop the challenge preemptively before it even really began, because horrible people on the internet who do horrible things like to just ruin other people's lives because they are probably unhappy with theirs. Now, unfortunately, this was part of the Helldivers community. There was some infighting between them, and this was the result. It's unclear what we do from here now. Some have said that it's even more advisable that the developers at Arrowhead accept this challenge now, because not out of pity but out of respect for the original challenger who would donate 1,000, out of pure respect for this person, the love of the game, people have said that the developers should take this challenge purely just off of that alone. Others have said that while this challenge would be an interesting insight into the views of the developers at Arrowhead, and while it would pay respect to the original poster, that continuing the challenge might cause others to get harmed along the way. Whether this argument has any credence is up for the public to resolve. Personally, I don't think there'd be any real problem with continuing the challenge. I think out of respect for the OP, it should be really something considered, at the very least, very heavily by the developers. Now this challenge was supposed to be taking place on Oshune during a level 10 difficulty challenge. I don't think that the challenger requested they do a complete full clear, but just complete the main objective and extract. Side note here that I forgot to mention, actually the original poster did in fact specify that they complete all challenges with, a video as proof, with no modifications, no funny business, no sort of advantages because they are developers. So yeah, just wanted to add that as a little aside. Now, Odo, Lieutenant Buzz Lightyear, Background Gaming, and Thick Fillet have already taken this challenge, done the loadouts, and have concluded that it is in fact possible to do this level 10 challenge with these loadouts. However, the challenge is specifically for the developers to do it, to figure out the power scaling with the weapons and the enemies, and all that jazz. Now there is a conversation to be had about the balancing and fairness of Helldivers itself. Personally, I am on the side that thinks that while a few of the bugs and glitches might be a little annoying and unfair, I think the majority of what is programmed and done and executed in the game is fairly reasonable and fair to the player. I think there's a lot to be said about weapon balance and enemy balance. I think that there needs to be a good balance between the expendable Helldiver and the I want to feel like I'm killing everything super quickly and efficiently and I can do it all by myself type of mentality. There needs to be a middle ground between those two things. I do think some of the weapons should probably get a rework or a rebalance at some point, and I do think some enemies need to be tweaked a little bit. For example, I think that the M1000 maxi gun, while I think it's reasonable that standing still while firing is a pretty reasonable thing considering it is a minigun and this game development is tailored towards realism. I think that makes sense. However, a backpack of 750 rounds is definitely not something that I would consider adequate. I think a minimum of 1,200 or even 1,500 rounds in a backpack would more than make up for some of the shortcomings of the maxi gun. I think it being medium penetration is great. I think it fills a good niche. However, I often find myself bringing the Stalwart instead of the maxi gun because lots of enemies can be killed using light penetration, especially on the bug front. Every single enemy can be killed using light pen, and I don't often find myself wanting to stand still for 30 seconds to deal a moderate amount of damage to an incoming swarm, considering the body buildup is something that blocks most of your shots. So I think that the M1000 maxi gun should receive some sort of a buff in terms of ammo, and maybe fix the little issue with diving right after you stop firing. Now, while I think certain enemies and guns should be reworked and rebalanced, I think that the core mechanics of it being a team game are very much still present. There are some, like Odo, who say that Helldivers 2 is not really a team game. And I can understand certain aspects of that. For instance, something that I think should have been a thing a long time ago is being able to team reload your teammate while they are wearing the backpack to refill their weapon instead of you wearing the backpack. We can already arm a hell bomb from someone's back. Why can't we reload someone's weapon also from their back? However, while there are certain aspects that I agree with, I think, for the most part, Helldivers 2 is and will always be very much a team-centric game. Clearing a level with teammates is more efficient, it goes faster, teammates can carry supply pack like I often do to resupply. I think there are some really good synergies between certain weapons and stratagems, so I think overall the team focus is still very much definitely a good focus that is hitting a decent mark currently. There could be some improvements, but overall I think it's decent. Teamwork is something that I think is not focused on enough, though, and that's one reason I think some may find it to be lackluster in its presentation in the game. Something as simple as a bestiary, such as what is present in Deep Rock Galactic, could easily increase teamwork. The bestiary could list different strategies for taking out certain enemies, their weak points, whether a teammate could distract an enemy while you shoot its weak point, like baiting a charger into a charge while you shoot its rear, or getting a Hulk to turn so you shoot its back. Stuff like that. Very easy to implement a bestiary to very easily increase a level of teamwork by listing certain strategies to take out certain enemies. Now, I do think that certain loadouts and weapons are kind of slept on when it comes to balance and stuff like that. For instance, I think the Plasma Punisher is something that is totally slept on. Now, I see a few people bring it, but I really don't see it being brought that often. And I even believe in the statistics for how often weapons are brought. It's really not brought that often. I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm pretty sure it's not brought that often. Plasma Punisher is great across essentially all fronts. Automatons is definitely S tier for Plasma Punisher. Second place would probably go to the Bug Front, and then it probably does the worst against the Illuminate. Elevated Overseers make it a little harder with the significant drop in projectile, but it takes out voteless and flesh mobs very easily. Another part of a kid that I think is kind of slept on is certain stratagems. Like, people will sleep on the gas strike all day, but they will not understand how good it is on the bug front. If you see a bug breach happening, call in this thing that has less than 60-second cooldown, and you basically immobilize and kill all the small guys that come out of any bug breach. You disorient them, you make them a little confused, and then you have something like a Stalwart or a Ruptor to take out the guys that don't die from the gas. And then you call something like 120, 380 for heavies, or even a 500 kg for the heavy guys that escape. And this gas strike has one of the lowest cooldowns of any orbitals, so the power it has to disorient an entire bug breach essentially, and then come back for the next bug breach is unheard of in my opinion, and I think is entirely slept on. Pair that with a Stalwart, recoilless, or even expendable anti-tank, and you will be laughing. One final message I want to go out to the Helldivers 2 community is that we are better than this. We are better than attacking our fellow Helldivers. We are better than doxing and bullying our fellow Helldivers. We are better than calling each other names and making fun of each other and making fun of the developers and picking on people who we don't agree with. We are better than those things. Perhaps our campaign on Cyberstan has left us susceptible to the mind games of the enemy, but we are better than this. We do not have to give in to these childish tendencies to attack each other. What happened with the original poster and his challenge is not something that I wish to be repeated. In fact, I wish that more people would do stuff like this because it calls out the people in charge of making the games we love. And it's important for everyone to each have an opinion and share their voice and just have something to contribute to the conversation so we all can play the game that we've grown to love and enjoy and have fun liberating planets together. Let's come together as Helldivers and fight against this injustice. As always, thank you guys so much for listening. This was a bit of a different type of video I made. Never done commentary video like this before, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I play Helldivers a lot. I'm level 90, so if you guys want some Helldivers content, I will gladly do that for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a comment on whatever you think I should have covered or should cover again. Let me know what you guys think about this whole situation in the comments. And please don't be afraid to leave a like and subscribe because it really does help me out and it motivates me to continue posting. I'm working on another video right now, so hopefully I'll have that out in a little bit. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.